all you cool cats and fine felines. It's Leah and
Lynn.
and today we're on our way to Memphis, Tennessee to meet and greet and listen to someone.
It's a surprise.
Yeah, it's a surprise. Someone who was very important to Elvis. So follow us, and Lynn, what are we going to do?
Get into the groove.
Take care of business. How pretty she is. She hasn't aged a bit. She's like an angel in white. Look at the turnout. There's a lot of people here. It's a little hot in here, just a little.
It's summertime in the south, so
Yeah.
what do you expect?
A little humid, little
At least
hot. That's right. So that's what Elvis wrote with her mascara.
Mascara.
They knew him from high school.
Wow.
That's beautiful.
And I guess that's Lisa and Amber, yes.
Is that Lisa Marie?
And Amber. Yes. Yes. Ginger's niece, yes.
That's wild. But you know,
Wow.
they said like Ginger wasn't even like supposed to go over to Graceland that night. It was just her sister.
Her sister, exactly. What Charlie gave them for a wedding or an engagement present. Amazing. Wow. Oh, there's her little backstage pass. To Ginger Love, Lisa. Oh, cute. That is precious. Hi. How are you? I'm great. How are you? I'm a little starstruck. I've read your book like 6 times. I appreciate you sharing all your memories, and that's really special. And I'm sorry, just really
Don't make me cry.
I just really appreciate that. My name is Leah, and this is Lynn. This is my husband.
I'm Lynn. It's very nice to meet you.
Well, thank you for coming.
Yes.
How do you spell?
Yes, Leah, Leah.
Thank you for sharing your story.
Yes.
We listened to you. We read your book. Your book is amazing. I can
really
only
great.
imagine what it was like as a 20-year-old flying in a freaking jet over
Las
to
Vegas.
Las Vegas at night. Whenever, I don't know.
It's actually hard to, if you relive it, it's hard to explain to people really what it was like, because I hadn't been out west.
Yeah, it was. You were so young and like you had never. That's so crazy. Like
Lynn, Lynn. Yes. We really appreciate your time.
Sure.
May I have another hug?
Can't get a picture.
We'll say bye.
Lacey and Luke, smile, wave. We met 2 really amazing people, and John's grandmother, mother, dated Scotty Moore. Small world, amazing. You can check out the video on Spa Guy's page. It's called Scotty Moore Love Letters.
All right, well, let's get Ginger up here. And one of the questions that we have, Ginger, is can you tell us about your life before meeting Elvis, and what were your goals and dreams at the time? What did you envision?
I loved art. I mean, people love art in here. I wanted to be an artist. Don't know how much money is in that unless you're Andy Warhol or Vincent Van Gogh. But no, I love doing landscapes and painting, so that was a huge love of mine. And also, I love singing. So I took singing lessons at a young age. And
How did you first get into modeling, and what drew you into that industry?
I remember a lot of ladies' names. No one's my age anyway, but when we were young, there were Sears and Roebuck catalogs. And does that sound okay? Okay. and McCall's magazine and all this. And my sister and I, my sister Carrie, we were close in age, so we used to cut out, like, they had paper dolls. And we would cut out, and I thought that was really cool about the models, you know, cut the women out of the magazine. We thought that was neat. And then, wow, I remember doing a little bit of modeling on George Klein. I was a close friend, had a show called Talent Party. And I must have gone from school. I don't know what age. I was pretty young. I think I stood on the show with 2 other girls. We modeled some of their clothing. And then I ended up doing, they had a Pancho's Taco here, and I did a commercial, and they put me in the big Spanish headdress. And I vaguely remember doing that commercial.
So you also pursued acting, appearing in movies and TV projects. What motivated? How did you transition from modeling to that?
Well, a lot of girls, when they were modeling, when you started off, they would send you up for, we used to go on what we would call go-sees. You go see somebody, and you had to carry. Now it's all different. You have your digital, your CDs, or I'm not sure what it's like now, but we used to have to carry backpacks and all this stuff. And sorry, ask the question again. My mind's.
I'm so sorry. You also pursued acting. Basically, you got into TV and acting projects.
Yeah, but a lot of girls, backtrack there. A lot of girls, they send you up for commercial auditions. If you can walk and talk, and sometimes there was no talking, but yeah, I had a successful career, and I was fortunate with that. And I started taking acting classes along the way, and I studied. There was a famous acting coach named Lee Strasberg, and who Marilyn Monroe left everything to. She was very close with him when she passed away. But anyway, so I studied 3 months with Lee Strasberg and 3 months with his wife, Anna. And that was an amazing time for me. But just to try to be able to do commercials, and because it wasn't really my goal in life was to go on and be an actress. That wasn't heavy for me. I would have preferred to sing or painting, but yes. Life took a little turn for me.
Yes. You wrote the book. Of course, it was deeply personal. You know, we've all read it and heard it. And there's some things that, you teared up when we were just talking about it. And I understand that. Was that process, did it give you closure, peace? You mentioned it was cathartic, so it had to be.
I've had people come up, it just feels wonderful to have people say, thank you, I understand better, or I understand more. And I thought if I hadn't done that, I realized the stuff that would have been sitting out there. And people are going to believe what they want to, whether they believe you or not. But I thought, for me, I know the truth. God kept me going all these years, so I thought, put it out there. And so I'm grateful that I was able to, you know. And like I said, my husband was behind me, but he passed away the next year, so after the book came out.
And I'm so sorry for your
I
loss.
appreciate that.
And he was an attorney. Am I remembering that right?
He was an attorney for a little while, and then he got into doing more commercials. He found that interesting.
Really?
Yeah. I only did one commercial with him. I didn't.
So he produced them?
He directed.
Oh,
Sorry, he was a
directed.
director.
Wow,
and then he
okay.
got into social media later. But yeah, he loved it.
Amazing.
He was very creative. He didn't sing.
So how many like learning more about Ginger? Yeah. Because see, I want to know more. That's fantastic. And thank you so much for sharing that, Ginger. So in your book, Elvis seems really active reading, spending time with you. How would you describe his day-to-day life during that time? So we're going from December of 76 to August of 77.
I mean, Elvis would, we don't know what time he woke up or what a day-to-day, yeah, I mean, well, we all know Elvis slept during the day. And he'd go to sleep about 8 in the morning and wake up about 4. I remember that last summer. He was waking up a little earlier. It was like to have more sunlight, you know, more time in the sun a little bit. We got him out of the house. But he loved comedy. We watched on Sunday mornings, I remember some gospel on television before he went to sleep. But he liked Good Times. We all know he loved Monty Python, loved all those movies. He introduced me. I had no idea who they were. And he had the first Betamax, the tape machine I had seen. He had these tapes, and so that was really cool. But yeah, it's just good comedies. He loved Barney Miller, who thought Abe Vigoda, he goes, he just looks so disgusted all the time. And he thought that was funny. Yeah, I mean, that was my memory. He always had the radio playing. I remember a lot of music. The radio was usually playing in the background in his bedroom. You know, he spent a lot of time upstairs. And but we read a lot, and he was into Eastern philosophy and had a lot of books given to him by his hairdresser, Larry Geller. And I'm sure before I met him, my understanding was a lot of the guys didn't really like that, because it was different for them, and it was pulling Elvis in another direction. But Elvis, it was something he was really interested in, and I was there for him, and it wasn't the easiest to understand. It was over my head, but I said, you need him to guide you, because I've had people say, are you into that? And I said, I would have needed, it took years. I think Larry Geller was into a lot of this stuff for years, and then he introduced me to Elvis. It was different, but it was interesting. I just would have needed more time, but we read a lot, and I got to where I could finish a sentence for him. He'd say, "Oh, it's almost like for one person," because I had memorized some of the lines from some of these books.
I was going to ask you. You mentioned that the radio was playing in the background. Was it a gospel station?
That's a good question. It's just there was always music. I remember one time he got up to go to the restroom, and it was a heavy metal on him. He didn't like the screechy. And he stopped. He was getting ready to go in his bathroom. He stopped and he looks. He goes, "I'll break your GD fingers, boy." Yeah. And it goes on there. So I went, he doesn't like that. Yeah. But he loved Brooke Benton. Man Murray. I mean, just a lot of Mario Lanza.
Mario Lanza, yeah.
But those were kind of records, if you had their albums or records at the time, you'd play that. But I always, if the TV wasn't on, the radio would be in the background. Like we'd be reading, and he'd be trying to have me understand something. And he'd nod like that toward the radio, and he'd go, "It's trying to tell you," or "It's talking to you," trying to get me to understand something. So music was such a big part of his song.
So it was either the TV or the radio on, as a general rule, one or the other.
Yeah, I remember that.
So I've got an off-subject question, but speaking of sounds, when the phone didn't ring, it buzzed.
Yeah, I remember.
Am I remembering that right?
Yeah.
Okay. Because isn't that interesting that it didn't ring, it actually buzzed?
Yeah, he didn't like outside noise, and that's why the walls were padded, and the ceiling, there was little noises could bother him. I mean, you could see on stage, for those of you who were fortunate enough to see him perform live, if there was one note hit off, or someone was playing guitar, something was off, he would stop and start over and apologize to the audience, because he wanted it to be really great for them. But he was in tune with that. Just really seemed, you could tell. I mean, but like I said, noises, certain things bothered him at times.
Interesting. So Elvis had a unique sense of fashion. Would everybody say that? He was uniquely Elvis. Did you find it easy to maintain your own style alongside his bold, one-of-a-kind look?
I don't
we've got some
know.
clothing up here, so.
Yeah, but I didn't really have a style at that time. I just turned 20 years old. I loved Stevie Nicks. I still love chiffon. I love flowy pieces, which some of these not. But anyway, no, it was a lot of fun. But he didn't really pick out. I remember shopping for the first time when I was in Las Vegas with him for his last engagement there. And he sent me down, and I picked out some clothing, and it made me feel good. He liked what I picked out. But if he didn't like something, I remember I purchased a dress one time somewhere, and I wore it on. I had it on tour. I just had a few to wear, and he didn't like it. And I wore it, but I didn't do it on purpose to make it. I don't think I had enough of the other clothes, but I did wear it. I probably didn't wear it again after that. But he would kind of tell you, I don't like that. So I wanted him to be happy. So
yes. And these are yours from that era.
Yeah.
And they're
These
really nice.
A lot of these are, I think, North Beach leather. We couldn't fit the pants on that little mannequin over there. It does have a lift. I don't know if some of you have seen, there's footage of me walking up. There's footage of me wearing that brown leather, walking up Elvis's airplane, and some pictures of him. But the pants were a little long, so it's missing the pants. This was in a Rona Barrett, I think there was a poster of me with that. So that was in a Rona Barrett interview I did. And that's one of my jackets that Elvis gave me from the concert. And I wore the long dresses like that I wore in Las Vegas during this last engagement. So, but the 70s was a lot of fun. It was, the style, the pant legs, I still have a lot of pieces that I saved, and so it's fun for you young people out there to see what it's like back then.
And it's kind of coming back a little bit, they say,
Yeah,
some of that
the
stuff.
wide leg pants and all
Yes.
that fun.
So Elvis, one individual is another. How did his private side differ from the public image?
I didn't really see that. I mean, when Elvis was on stage and he had such a great sense of humor, and you saw him, I didn't. I mean, at home it could be the same way. He would joke with family and friends and do that. The only thing I noticed that was a shocker for me was Elvis did know a curse word or two, and that was strongly in his vocabulary, which was a little strange way, But when you love somebody, you overlook it at a point. You just you got used to it. But when you watch his movies, this apple pie image, you didn't quite see that fine. But I thought in general he was just had a great sense of humor and just a deeply caring human being.
Looking back, how do you think your time with Elvis shaped you as a person today?
Wow. Elvis was such a powerhouse. I would have to say it made me much more guarded. It really did. When I saw the things, I felt for him. So much stuff that was coming out, and I thought, well, to a strong degree, this wasn't the person I remembered or depended on certain things. And I tried to write an honest account of, Elvis was human. He had good days and bad days, but I've always said 98% of the time he was good. There was a darkness that would come in because of medication usage, and that was a tough thing to watch. And all I ever did was try to help him, and no one knew what was going on behind closed doors. So some things that happened with me got speculated upon and turned into something that it never was. But and I risked him breaking off with me a couple of times because I left the house, and I think he had his way for so long, and there was a lot that he had done that I didn't see anybody kind of saying no, or you should do this, and he kept me away from a lot of people too. I was upstairs with him a lot in the house, so I didn't get a chance to know some people. But anyway.
See, basically when you got home, more or less, you went upstairs, and there's a door at the top of the stairs, and that door was shut, and you were kind of in isolation, more or less.
But I never felt like Elvis was lonely upstairs at Graceland. I mean, that was his sanctuary. He would go in the bathroom. He would spend a lot of time in the bathroom, and another entrance back in the bathroom where his dressing area was. He loved to play the electric organ up there. He had his aunt live downstairs. His grandmother lived downstairs. It was privacy for him. And his daughter Lisa's bedroom was up there, and sometimes switched it back and forth. But we were on tour so much that it's just to have a couple of weeks off in between at the time. He'd sit around in his pajamas and he actually had marks on his back because those suits, as beautiful as they were so heavy. And I couldn't blame him. He'd sit in his, usually different blue pajamas and jersey type material. I'm not sure what they're made of, but I couldn't blame him. But when you went out, I laugh if I see some pictures and he's on the three-wheelers or motorcycle. He's wearing a zip-up one-piece like blue suit or whatever he's wearing, but you can see the pajama bottom still hanging out. He still got those.
That's funny.
So, but he wanted to be comfortable. I didn't blame him.
So when you met him, or the night that you three sisters went, he was working out. He was doing karate.
Yeah.
When you met him the first time, was he still wearing his gi?
Yeah.
He really was.
Yeah.
Amazing.
So
okay,
at least that's what we were told. But
yes.
Yeah. So because when he walked in the room, he didn't have the pompadour. His hair was a little musty. I still thought he was gorgeous, and I was shy, so I blurted out, "Hi," like I'd known him for years. Where that came from, I don't know. But but he was wearing that, and he was very polite. And that was the first night we met him.
Amazing. So this is going to go to a night where a lot of us know that they went to the dentist office that night at Dr. Hoffman with one F. And so y'all left there. You went about, am I remembering right, about 10:30?
I think his appointment was at 10:30, so
Okay.
he must have left around 10:05.
Okay.
That night. Yeah.
So I want to talk about that. I want to just ask a few questions, and if you don't remember, it's okay. I understand. That's a long time ago. Do you recall who suggested the dentist visit? was it Elvis's idea or Dr. Hoffman? Was it like a regular appointment for Elvis, or?
No, I was sitting next to him in the bed, and I remember he acted like he thought a piece of a tooth had broken off. I now think it was part of the filling, because I think the doctor had filled a couple of teeth. But I remember it was bothering him, so he would have had somebody. He set up the appointment, so that's how we went. That's what I remember.
Yes.
So we got in his car, and a cousin of his was with us, and Charlie Hive, his friend Charlie Hive, and so we went over to the dentist that night.
Okay. So you shared that Elvis asked Dr. Hoffman to look at your teeth for braces. Can you tell us how that came up in conversation?
Well, I remember everybody knows Sonny and Cher. Cher had those little teeth that kind of stick out just a little bit. So, and mine were like that. So, Elvis said something when he walked in. I heard him say to the dentist, and like after he checked him to look at for future work on my teeth to straighten. So Elvis went in the room with the dentist and came out, and then we came back home. So I know that he was, because when we were in Palm Springs, you would think I had these really terrible teeth. But, we had the dentist in Palm Springs to kind of file down some, so when I think back of that, I'm like, But anyway, I've since got it fixed, but but that was just he was in a good mood that night at Dr. Hoffman's, and, we were supposed to go on a tour the next night, or next afternoon, would have left, and,
So that's interesting. So that doesn't sound like somebody that's not planning on getting married, or at least planning on the future. Is that right? Does that sound right to y'all?
He's just going to send me away with nice
Yeah,
deal.
yeah, exactly. Is that a good one?
Before I say goodbye.
So you mentioned that Elvis said something about one of your dresses, but did he often make thoughtful suggestions like about health, appearance, that kind of stuff? Of course, you were young, so,
Yeah. He was such a caring person. I don't necessarily have. I was guilty of sitting and eating some of the foods, and who doesn't love a good burger? And his housekeeper Lottie made these great burgers, and called them Lottie burgers, and so I would sit and eat some of that food too. But I also tried to get him. I remember I brought some old dried fruit, and he picked at that. It probably wasn't his favorite, but I tried to do that on occasion and bring in some different things like that. But I was from the South. We eat the same kind of food, but and I remember Elvis wanted us to have our picture. This was just a few weeks before he passed away, and he wanted us to have our picture taken, a nice professional picture. And he said he wanted to lose a little weight, and he goes, "You can lose some weight." He said it to me. He said, "You can lose a little weight too. I've only been eating the same food." But that was sad that we didn't get a chance to do that. But he was. I remember him telling me, and he was looking forward to. I know there was a lot in the background that I didn't fully understand that was getting ready to happen with a book that had been released. He had to face that. But he was in a good mood, and looking forward to the next tour.
I want to tell you that this is surreal for me. I'm sitting here looking at Ginger Alden, y'all. I read about you as a kid, and so I'm honored to be here.
I don't know if that makes me feel good.
Yeah. I'm old, y'all, but no, that you are here, and I'm honored to even be able to speak to you. So do you remember? Because I've always tried to put this dentist office visit together in my mind, just a timeline. And I'm sorry to keep bringing that up.
No, I wish I could help you more with some things.
Do you have any clues?
You asked me about the streets we went on the other day, and I said, I don't remember. Elvis was driving.
Yeah, I was trying to figure out, and I don't know why this thing is doing this. Last night it did do it one time, and tonight it's doing it every time.
Maybe it's me.
Yeah, it's not. It's got to be me. So, but I was trying to figure out the direction that Elvis went, because I talk about geographic forensics and the direction you go and streets you take and that kind of stuff. And one of the things that I asked you about was when y'all were coming back, did you take a street before Elvis Presley Boulevard? And I found out that wasn't there in 1977, so it didn't happen. So, So there's that, you know,
Yeah.
so you go back and find things. So, but
Well, you
my,
like the factual stuff, which I think is great.
Yes, ma'am,
I could have
it's
helped that
important.
way, but I didn't know.
So 10:30, and you left
Say.
maybe 12 o'clock, because it's about a 20-minute, it depends on how fast Elvis drove, because we know he drove fast, but roughly a 15 to 20-minute drive, depending on how fast.
Yeah,
So
'cause I think we got back after
about 12:30 or so.
something like that, yeah.
Okay. So maybe you were there a little over an hour and a half, roughly.
Yeah.
Okay. Do you remember what Elvis's mood? You've actually mentioned this. His mood or demeanor was during that visit. He was jovial.
Yeah, he was just happy to get the problem fixed or whatever was going on. But I do think the dentist had filled some of his, had a little filling there. So I have a feeling a piece of the filling broke off because he thought a piece of the tooth was.
Yeah,
So
it'll
that's
pop
what
out,
yeah,
you
that's
think.
that's what I remember.
Yeah. Was that the first time you went to Dr. Hoffman's?
Yeah, that's the first time I remember going.
Okay. But you went to the other dentist in Palm Springs. So
Well, that dentist came to Elvis's house in Palm Springs. And,
Chino Canyon House.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. And yeah, that was a wild story. I remember, I believe he was, I don't know if he was working on my teeth at the time or doing something. Maybe he was doing the cleaning. I don't know, for Elvis. And he started talking about he had a girlfriend or he was going to get married and all this. Well, when you say this kind of thing around Elvis was like, well, do you have a license or do you have a ring or do you have a license? And he said, well, yeah, he had his license with him. And he just happened to have. And next thing I know, we're involved in a wedding. Elvis plans the wedding for this gentleman and has a jeweler come over and he's picking out rings. And so I was the maid of honor and Elvis is this is in January of '77. And it was just wild. We're standing in our robes and this dentist gets married. Wow. And it was just funny. Yeah.
That's,
Yeah.
yeah.
And that was wild, yeah. But I remember during that, the dentist, and I'd forgotten about this, the dentist had said he had invented an artificial heart. Interesting. But I remember Elvis saying to him he wanted him to make one for himself, for his father and me. And he wanted to work. Now, I've never heard any more with that, but I remember that.
That's interesting.
Yeah.
So did Elvis mention any plans for a follow-up with Dr. Hoffman about your braces or anything like that?
Well,
Or did Dr. Hoffman mention any?
Well, there hadn't been enough time. I know Elvis would have, the minute he said that to him, he said, would you look at Ginger's teeth so we can do some future work on hers? So I knew that would be coming, because when he said that, he'd already had the dentist,
Yes.
the other dentist, so.
And then tell us about the proposal.
Okay, yeah, when, after Elvis and I got engaged, we stepped out of the bathroom. I know that sounds, but again, his bathroom was a sanctuary. It was very peaceful. Couldn't be bothered, hopefully, a lot of times. And yeah, we stepped out, and two of his stepbrothers were there, his cousin, and Charlie Hodge. They hugged us and congratulated us, and Charlie gave me that little backgammon game as an engagement gift. So I still have that and brought that to you.
Isn't that amazing she still got that? Yeah, that's really, really cool.
But,
So take us through that. So it happened in the bathroom.
yeah.
Yeah, as odd as that sounds, that's where it was. And she
Some
mentioned
people
that was
are
his
like, oh,
sanctuary.
that's terrible. No, it wasn't either. Yeah, Elvis and I had been watching TV in his daughter Lisa's room, and at one point he got up. This was January 26, 1977. He gets up and he goes back toward his bedroom. So I stayed in Lisa's room for a little bit, was watching TV, and after a little while I got up to go see where he was, and he was on the phone. So I came back, sat, watched TV again, and I could tell there was commotion, people going up and down the stairs and all this. And I thought, well, it's a business meeting, something's going on. And a little while passed, and after that, he comes in Lisa's bedroom and takes my hand, and I stand up and we walk through the back dressing. We walk out of Lisa's room into the back dressing area of his bathroom, and he walks over. There was a chair in front of the window, and he asked me to sit down. And I was like, what the world's going on? And so I sit down, and he just started saying just unbelievably beautiful words to me. I've loved before. I've never been in love. Never did I think I'd find it in my own backyard. I've been 60% happy, 40% happy, and I'm like, what's he talking about? And he gets down on bended knee and pulls a green velvet box from around his back and says, Ginger, I'm asking you, will you marry me?
It looked like a car headlight.
Well,
Yeah.
he got a kick out of that later. You know, we were sitting in bed, and he'd go, hold up your hand. He had his Aunt Delta come up. He had the housekeepers come up. And he'd say, you know, hold up your hand. And I was like this. He'd go, it looks like a big ding, ding, you know, headlight, headlight. And so.
Well, I had a replica of it made. Yeah, and so.
Oh, that's great.
So I
It's a
was.
bracelet.
That's a sterile.
Yes, ma'am. Yeah, well, I saw that and I thought, I got to get that for Ginger. So,
great.
and I was fortunate enough. Ginger brought it. We had lunch and with Norm, and she brought the ring, and I got to hold it. And so, for those of you that don't know what it looks like, this is the ring. Elvis is running around trying to get the ring worked out, and he gets Lowell Hayes to come over to the house. So the TCB ring, the ones that you see, the one you see over at Graceland, the stone came out of that ring. So it's 11.5 carat. That's where the ring came from. How many knew that? Most everybody knew that, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I didn't know that until Elvis passed away. I didn't know the whole thing. Yeah.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
So do you? I know you still have the engagement ring. I've seen it.
Yes.
And do you still have your TLC?
Yeah.
With the diamonds?
I do. I remember leaving the suite in Las Vegas, and his road manager came in, and I remember the road manager coming back and forth, and at one point Elvis calls me again in the room, and everyone knows Elvis loved to give gifts, and Elvis tells me to close my eyes and hold out my hand, and he puts a beautiful cocktail ring on my finger, and then tells me to do the same thing, hold out my other hand, puts another beautiful ring on my finger, and then he goes, you have to have backups, and he had two beautiful diamond cluster rings. One was ruby, one was sapphire. And I thanked him, and I remember saying to him, I said, Elvis, I deeply appreciate this. I said, but I'm not really a jewelry person. And I wasn't, but now I'm sitting here. See what he did to me? No. But I said, I'm not, and I wasn't really aware. And he goes, well, you'll learn to like it. But he loved that, because we all know he didn't have that. He grew up poor. And so he enjoyed it. If he planned something and you didn't like it, you could tell. It just really bothered him if you didn't take something, or because that brought him joy. I've always said he was the happiest when he put a smile on somebody else's face. And whether, it was through singing or gift giving or whatever, he just really wanted to see other people happy. Very, very caring individual.
Okay, so this is, in your book, you wrote something and it caught my attention. And that was that Elvis had mentioned to you when he was talking about churches. Mm-hmm. So people that are not planning on getting married don't generally talk about a church to get married in. That's just a thing, wouldn't y'all say that's right? So you mentioned, and what got my attention was you mentioned that he said that the church that Charlie described that was on the Mississippi River had a roof like a pyramid. Is that factual?
Yeah, he said that, we were talking one night, and this was when he wanted to look at bridal dresses, and there was a lot of stuff going on that particular night. But I think I was making out a wedding list, and Elvis, he wanted to be married in a non-denominational church. And he brought that up different times. And he said Charlie had told him about a church down by the river that shaped like a pyramid. So, that was from that particular night when he was talking about.
So, are there places that you feel especially nostalgic about outside? But before I ask that, I'm so sorry. Did anybody recognize you at Graceland?
No, we went. It was around COVID. It had to be around after the COVID time. I had a mask on sometimes, and half the time I'm wearing a baseball cap. That's just how I dress usually. But no, I didn't want that. I didn't. I wish some people like that. Some people like to dress up and go and want to be noticed, and I'm quite the opposite. I wanted my time and my memories to be able to stand and just kind of think about things. But there are people coming through, and I spent a lot of time on the Lisa Marie's airplane, and that's where it would have been just nice to really sit and for me, being even in the house, we spent the majority of the time upstairs. So, and you can't go upstairs. So, but I'm glad I did. I mean, there were some things bothered me a little that were there that weren't there when I was there, but it is what it is. And
Can you give us an example?
no,
You don't want to?
Quiet.
Okay. I tried, y'all. So Elvis gave you 2 birthday gifts, the monkey and the mirror. Can you tell us a little bit about that and describe them?
Or I gave him, yeah.
Oh, I'm sorry. Yes.
Well, you know, I was in Palm Springs when Elvis turned 42, and he was so generous. He gave other people that were with us at his home in Palm Springs, he gave the women money to go out on his own birthday and go do a little shopping. And we went to a department store, but I was like, what can I get Elvis? And I thought, what do you get Elvis? So that was difficult. I didn't get him anything at that time. But I waited and I found, because he loved Peter Sellers, and Peter Sellers joking about monkeys, the monkeys breaking the law, all these kind of funny little lines from the Inspector Clouseau movies, and all the Pink Panther things. And he told me he had a monkey named Scatter. You know. So I thought, let's see. So I found a monkey holding a candle. And I gave him that later, after we got back from Palm Springs. I gave him that, and I found a mirror that had his face etched in just black, like etching. And from the Peter Sellers movie, I put, Here's Looking at You, Kid. It was from the Humphrey Bogart line, one of the funny things in one of those films. And so I wrote that on a mirror and a little tag. And he put the monkey in the candle, and he put it up on his, at the shelves at the foot of his bed. And he set the mirror by it, and it stayed there.
So as far as you know, it's still sitting there.
Oh, I'm sure it's been.
But so you're saying it's his face?
Yeah,
Elvis's face is on a
Yeah.
mirror in this department store.
yeah. It's like an etching you would do, some type of etching
Oh.
that you. Yeah.
Interesting. And you mentioned, where was the bridal shop? So what was the name of the bridal shop? Oh, actually, I've got 2 different things. I'm mixing 2 things. So you mentioned you worked at the dress shop. What was the name of the dress shop?
Jeans.
Jeans.
It was J-E-A-N.
And it was in what shopping center?
Eastgate Shopping
Eastgate
Center.
Shopping Center,
Yeah.
okay. And so, future video. So, where was the bridal shop you stopped at with Elvis and Billy and Joe?
I think his cousin's wife had suggested, she thought there were some bridal, he wanted to look at bridal gowns. And we went over, I believe it was on Union Avenue. I wanted to say the Snooty Fox, but I just can't honestly recall the full name of it if it wasn't the Snooty Fox. But there was one place, we passed, and I remember there was a dress, and his cousin and his wife stayed in the car. I got out with Elvis, and I can't even really recall the dress that much. But Elvis would, if he didn't like something or liked it, but later when we were setting a wedding date, he wanted the collar, he wanted it to be a high collar dress with small little rosebuds and little gold threads and a little tiara and glass-like slippers. But with Elvis, I thought that would have been a neat dress to have seen made with a high collar like that.
And I'm trying to recall the story, and I don't mean to, if I'm saying something crazy. Do I remember Al Strada coming to the house and knocking on the door? Is there some story about that?
Yeah, Elvis had a name, Al Strada. I think Al was from California maybe originally.
Yeah.
And Elvis got kicked out of my sister, Rosemary, and she cut up with him. And he'd come in the house sometimes, and he'd go, "Where's Rosemary?" And he'd walk back to her bedroom. And when he was visiting this one time, he noticed that her, she had a little television sitting on top of the stand, and it was black and white. And he goes, "That's your TV or something?" Like you don't have. And it's funny how he thought. I mean, she was fine with it, but he made some comment like you should have a color TV. And I think she told him, "No, this is okay." And before I knew it, by the end of that night, there's a knock on the door, and the 8 Al Strada standing there with a color television set in the box. So they take out the old one, and she gets the set. But yeah.
Y'all still have that TV?
Oh.
Probably not.
For you, I wish we did for you. Yeah.
Yeah, I would love to have it.
I don't think my sister's. Well, you could ask her.
Yeah.
I don't think she's got it.
So, in your book, you talk about your Christianity. You still hold these beliefs today, and did your time with Elvis influence your spiritual journey?
No, I mean, I was baptized in the Parkway Village Christian Church, and I'm a Christian. And you know, I've had people, because Elvis was so into the Eastern philosophy, and people call it the occult or this or that, or they get off on this, and I thought, yeah, I think it was just something else Elvis became interested in, but I never felt like it took him away from Christ by any means, you know. I never once felt that, but it was just something he was, I mean, like I said, I remained the way I was. Not that Elvis influenced me in that way. If anything, it would have gone, you know, trying to understand the books he was in. But it didn't really change for me. It's just, as I said, what he was into, it was different. And it wasn't the easiest for me to pick up right away. But as I said, I was there and reading and trying to understand it. You know, so it was just kind of the beginning of that for me.
So I'm sure that he read the Bible a lot. He liked to. I heard that he liked to read it out loud.
Yeah,
to you. Was it certain areas that he would read in?
I just remember him going over. He was fascinated with words within words, like in Genesis, he would say "genes is," or history, his story. It was just broken up, and and that was interesting, you know. So he would really go into that and look at different words and things like that, trying to just have a better understanding for himself, which was really interesting.
Was he, and you may not know the answer, but was he New Testament, Old Testament? Did he lean towards New or?
Oh, well, I can't say.
Okay.
Yeah.
And I mean,
I wouldn't say one over the other.
What advice would you give to young women entering modeling or acting today based off of your journey?
You know, I mean, I was, you know, at the time you had to be taller to model. It depended what kind of modeling you were doing. I happened to go up to New York, and I was fortunate to start with there was an agency called Ford Models, which was a top model agency at the time. And so I was very fortunate because I didn't know if anybody would like me or what. But I mean, it's like any passion. If anybody in here wanted to model, I mean, you just, you know, you have to be careful what, you know, people used to say, bring your mother with you. And my mother, God bless her, yeah, she went to New York with me and stayed and made sure, you know, I was going to be okay and all that.
Did you like living in the city?
I thought it was fun when I was younger. My son lives there now, and I'm like, you know, I've been there and done that. It's just and it's, you know, there are areas that are not too safe, and I would get scared. I had some incidents happen sometimes, and I was like, please don't take my life down here in Soho or somewhere down in the Bowery area, in an elevator. And yeah, I remember some guy got in, and it was just me and him on the elevator, and he turned around, and he had a lighter, and he went like that in front of my face.
Oh, no.
And he was saying how they burned his toes in some place like Midland. I said, well, God, that had to hurt. And I was trying to be compassionate to him. But there were some scary things that could have happened, you know. So New York's a big city, but, you know.
So when you were, you mentioned the Lisa Marie, the airplane. Could you describe, what was it like? I know you stayed kind of in the back. There was a bedroom in the back, so you more or less stayed back there. What was it like being on a giant airplane like that? It was a private airplane.
Yeah.
I mean, that's pretty amazing.
Well,
it had to be surreal.
I was just blown away. I mean, the first time I walked on that plane, it's no different than the smaller plane, the Lockheed Jetstar that he had. I mean, it was just mind-blowing. And I remember, and we would stay in the back a lot. And Elvis would read and talk, and until we were flying, you know, to different, when we were on tour. I was on that plane a lot, and I remember it scared me. After Elvis passed, I think they said there were a lot of little fractured areas on that plane. And I was thinking, well, you know, we went to Hawaii in that. And, I think his cousin even said, he goes, I always thought we'd go down on an airplane or something. I was like, well, I was glad we didn't. But, and, you know, I wasn't scared. Flying is not my favorite thing now. I went through a stage where I was really petrified. It was going to take a lot to get me on an airplane. But when I was with Elvis, I never thought anything in the world would happen to him. And it was the most peaceful. And I remember when we were flying, the more turbulent, I'd just be in the back laughing. You know, the plane's going up and down, and I thought, oh, this is like a roller coaster. This is fun. Now I'm like, okay, get me off the plane. Yeah. But no, but we didn't. You know, I just never. I thought, God's not going to take Elvis. Nothing's going to happen to us.
That's a good point.
Yeah.
So, what was it like being in Hawaii? That looked like a really fun trip. There's a lot of really cool. Y'all seen the photos of it, right?
Yeah.
And that looked like a really fun time.
Yeah, I remember when we landed. He stayed in the back. A large part of the flight, he stayed in the back with me and my sister Carrie, my sister Rosemary. And he was cutting up. He started talking about rats. I know it's hard to explain to someone, but I don't know. He got on this whole thing with rats crawling all over my body, and he was just having a great time. And then, but he started singing Blue Hawaii as the plane was landing. And I was like, oh, this is great. And just the smell of the leis and the flowers and all that, and that was just a magical time. I mean, I've never been, and he told me he wanted to take me. This was late February. He asked me, have you ever been to Hawaii? And I said, no. And he said, I'd really like to take you there. You know, and I think Ed Parker brought that up in his book. He said Elvis wanted to show Ginger the islands, you know.
And what do you want Elvis fans to most understand about his final months with you? Is there kind of a thing that you would like to relay to fans so they can have a better understanding?
Well, just that Elvis was not this depressed, dark, morose human being sitting in just constant depression all the time, and I think that's a problem thank you. I mean, that's the truth, and that's why it's been hard for me. I thought I had many wonderful, beautiful memories with Elvis. I had to write about some dark times and me trying to understand things and him, but I thought, what a beautiful human being. I was so tired of lies and things coming out. Ginger didn't like to tour or this and that, and I thought that was just so unfair to do to me. I only missed 4 shows, and I wrote about the times that I missed. And I thought it would be silly for anybody to say I don't want to tour, and this is what he did for a living. I mean, it's bye-bye time. Mm-hmm. I wouldn't have gone out with me. Mm-hmm. So someone started that, and that escalated, and I didn't take part in other books. Also, I was asked to do a lot of interviews and books, and I knew one day I had to write my own book. And that cost me, unfortunately, because you have to go back to the original people that said the story first, not the biographers. And I know who the people are, pretty much. I know who they are, who started this. So-and-so didn't like to tour. It's like, okay, it started with you, now a biographer picked it up. And if I didn't give an interview, now we've got, she didn't like touring. And that unfortunately happened to me. And, so please don't ever believe that. I love watching him perform. I rooted for him in his shows. And but that's, Elvis was just such a powerhouse. And that's, he left me in a more vulnerable position. And, you're under the microscope and you're having to try to explain. And a character was created for me that never existed. And like I said, a select few created that and ran with it. And so that's what I try to clear up and talk and getting back to Elvis again. It's just, he was looking forward to marriage. We just set a wedding date a few hours before he passed away.
And what was that date?
That was August 16th.
No, I'm saying the date.
Oh, the date.
I'm so sorry. I know that.
Yeah.
We decided, I remember he said, well, I've been thinking a lot about getting married lately and all this. And it was his birthday, my birthday, or Christmas. And I always laugh and say, in retrospect, I should have said my birthday because it was November. It was coming up soon. Yeah. But I said, well, Christmas would be nice. And he goes, that'll be our gift to God. Because he was always saying, God will come through and tell me when the time is right. God this, God that. And I thought, I left it out. I thought if it's meant to be, it will happen. And so that was the date that we had decided on. Yeah.
He was quite a complex person. Is that a fair assessment?
Yeah. Absolutely. And like I said, I was young and you try to understand, loved him with all my heart, wanted to do anything to try to help him. And my way was a little different of trying to, if I saw bad behavior, it upset me, and if I said something, you're trying to help. And he was spoiled. He got away with stuff for a long time. And I questioned some of the people around him before I met him. It makes me kind of wonder some things of what was going on. And I didn't get a chance to know a lot of them because he's keeping me upstairs with him a lot. And I've even been removed. I've seen myself removed in books, and I thought, I'm the main one there with him. But I think a cousin of his even removed me the last night, and my niece is there with me. And I'm sitting in the bed by him, but the cousin's got him calling me on the phone at my house to come. That's not true at all. So anyway, no, but it's that Elvis was looking forward to a lot. He wanted to do, he wanted to produce more serious films. I know he wasn't happy with some of the older films. And as I said, I know he would still be singing gospel and just looking forward, and that last tour that we didn't get to go on. I mean, I think he was ready to face what was out there with him. You know, there had been a book released, and he was going to face that. And I remember when he told me about this book, and he said, it's not the content. Yeah, okay. I mean, he said it's not the content. He goes, it's not true. He goes, it's the fact that they did this that they turned and did this after all I'd done to their families. And I didn't know who these people were, at the time. And but I felt, and he told me this once in the summer, and I felt he'd come to a place that I remember he said his true fans will always stand behind him. And I felt good with that. I didn't know what the book said. I still haven't read it. Won't read it. I had my own experiences, but I didn't think it was right what happened, and I didn't think it was fair to do to him. And so. But he was just looking forward to a lot of things, And like I said, please don't believe this is someone depressed, and just there's a lot of that stuff out there, and it's frustrating for me to hear, and it's hard to change. I don't know, it's hard to, but I do my best. I try to speak the truth and speak to the person that I loved and was with, and through the dark times. But there were many more positive and good times than dark.
Amazing. Any parting words? Anything you want to?
Well, God bless you all for loving Elvis. And whoever you believe they are, that's fine. I appreciate you coming out and spread the joy of Elvis. And it always touches my heart to see. I mean, he would just be so happy to know that all of you cared so much and that he brought you joy. That's all he wanted, so that he's able to you listen to his music and puts a smile on your face and
He's proud of you.
oh, thank you.
Yeah.
Well, that's very sweet of you. But just a beautiful soul, and they broke the mold.
There's no doubt about that.
But,
Nobody like Elvis Presley.
But
That's
again,
fact.
thank you, and thank Elvis. Jeez.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you, Billy. You're good.
How surprised were you?
I bet they were shocked. Well, Lynn, that was awesome. Thank you to Spa Guy and
Thank you, Spa Guy.
Ginger.
That was cool.
Yeah, Billy, thanks. Ginger, Alden, thank you very much for your time and sharing your story with us. We really, really enjoyed it. And you are still beautiful.
Naturally beautiful.
Yeah, gorgeous. You look like a little angel in that white. Anyway.
Thanks again, Billy.
Yeah.
Spa Guy, you're the best.
Yeah, you're great. And, hey, Lynn, what do you think our viewers should do?
Go check out TigerMan Dojo by Spa Guy.
Absolutely.
And if you like this video, hit the like button. And don't forget to subscribe to Atomic Hive. We put these videos out every weekend, and if you hit that notification bell, you will be notified of those videos.
That's right. So until then,
Stay groovy.